The last thing that I want to say about coaching, and I don't know how y'all will feel about this, and I want to run this by y'all. Because it is a players' league, because we can't hold people accountable for their bad decision making front office wise, because I can think of a lot of these teams who made bad decisions front office wise, but their first go to was like, we got to get rid of the coach. I'm gonna say coaches need podcasts.
Nobody gonna tune in except like one of them coaches though.
But I
You lying?
Nah, I'm saying this. But compared to a player podcast, like the coach would have to be mad animated on some. I'm saying, okay, you making that face. I'm saying the casual viewer sees Paul George, sees Trae Young, sees Jeff Teague. Okay, here's Adrian Griffin's podcast though. Like they're going to tune into the player pod.
If Mike D'Antoni pulls up with the Mike and Ike podcast, and all it takes is that one clip. You know what? What's crazy is when McHale got fired, I sat there with James Harden. We laughed at it. We were at the
there's gonna be some interesting moment. It's definitely gonna be tier 2. It'd be tier 2.
But mind you, and I think that the way that it's formatted is important. I'm not necessarily looking for a podcast to get a lot of views. I'm not necessarily looking for it to be the best podcast out where the clips are circulating and all this. I think a moment just like this is why coaches need a podcast. If Giannis or if Jaylen Brown can't go left in the playoffs, we can see that. If LeBron can't hit his free throws, we can see that. If Luka is crying to the officials and they're scoring on the other end because he's down there crying on the other end, we can see that. Coaching is like a bunch of speculation. It's a bunch of speculation to me. And so the reason why you have that podcast, not for the likes and the views, honestly, is a way to save face. And it's unprofessional. I know that's why they really don't do it, because they would have to eventually turn and say, yeah, Jeannie Buss told me I had to play so-and-so. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, Paul George was drunk. That's why he was asked. It wasn't nothing about the play calls. I changed the book the day of. He showed up to practice drunk, and we blew the lead. Why do you think he hit the side of the backboard? Imagine them shits, bro.
I think it'll come at some point. It's just a lot of the coaches right now are like old as shit. So I feel like when this generation's players and people start coaching, that's when we'll get these coaches podcasts while they're coaching. But
no, actually, no. Yes, yet. I don't know if y'all heard or y'all know, but Cam and Mace got Mark Jackson his own segment, show, whatever.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying Mark Jackson will be the first like actual former NBA coach that's gonna have his own podcast as thing and be able to give that exact insight that we're talking about. And Mark Jackson, from what I've heard, is a very vulgar son of a bitch. So I mean, he's gonna get loose with it. He's gonna talk his shit. He's gonna get his shit off. I think what we're asking for, we're actually gonna see from Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
So I think the problem is that they're not going to. They're gonna keep it kind of cute, if that makes sense.
They're definitely going to. That's not
because they want a job. At the end of the day, I think podcasting is cool, and maybe when the dollars make sense. But these coaches want jobs. So there's a level of professionalism that like coaches have to keep it before they can just jump out the window and say stuff. Because coaches to me is like middle management, like low key. That may be the best way to equate it. The ownership, GMs, that's the CEO level. The players is like the employee level, and then the coaches are middle management. You know, they can only say but so much publicly. They can only do so much. They can only ask for so much because they're getting the runaround. But then the players are looking at the coach, and the fans are looking at the coach is like, what you really don't know is at the tippity top, they're getting screwed over just like everybody else. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. Also as a coach, considering it's a two-way street on a lot of things. And so I said coach is easily the biggest blackballed one. They also would simultaneously be the one that, while being able to do the most damage, they also have to like walk the thinnest ice, if that makes sense. Because as a coach, let's say take the troll analogy that I took, that Paul George shows up drunk and that's why we had to change plays and shit. Now, if you're Doc Rivers and you're trying to break that story, do you understand the repercussions of just going out there and saying, oh yeah, this is what happened? Yes, you get the truth out there. Yes, you save face. But now first of all, you're gonna have the peon fans that are gonna be frame one. You're just trying to absolve your career because of da. So that you have to deal with that. But more importantly, now every player that's ever played for you does not trust you. Every single player.
And prospective players.
And prospective players. So and then on top of that, now imagine if it's the same thing you said, Omar. If Mike Tomlin comes out, yeah, I've been wanted to trade Kenny Pickett. They wouldn't let me. Now the Steelers front office the whole time, they're gonna push agendas, because one thing people don't talk about is these teams have the ability to push agendas on your ass. So I think there's heavy repercussions with a coach doing it. However, Damo, your point is true. There's a lot of if I had to say my point about it being tier 2 is wrong. Coaches can draw the most damage. They can do the most damage at whatever they can say. I think even more than a player could outside of sheer clout.
I just think my bad. I was just about to say I think people just get way too extreme when it comes to their takes in terms of blaming certain situations, because sports and managing teams and just company management in general, like there's so many moving parts that go into it, from the front office like we're talking about to the coaches to the players. To put a majority of that blame, like when we're talking about like 70-80% of that blame on one person, I just think is like extremely unrealistic when again, like so many people do so many different things. So I'll just bring it to like YouTube, for example. If I'm a YouTuber and I upload a video and it becomes a 10 out of 10 and we try to play this blame game, to blame it all on the editor would be crazy, because there's so many, like number one, I hired the editor. Number two, who came up with the idea? Number three, title, thumbnail, all these other things that go into it. So, but just imagine like on the YouTube side of things, if like we were just consistently blaming one employee for our fuck ups, like that'd be crazy.
One subsection of employee, and we keep hey, we're trying out new thumbnail makers every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're firing and hiring and firing and hiring and firing thumbnail makers until we eventually get back to Dre. that's all it really be. We just get back to Dre.
I feel like the way y'all looking at it, y'all talking about it as if Darvin Ham and Nick Nurse are the coaches we're looking at to be on these podcasts and have these conversations like they still need a job. I think the first wave is going to be, like I said, the Mark Jacksons, the guys that are done coaching. It's the guys that know for a fact, I'm not going for another job. I'm not trying to get another job. I need another avenue to get money. Huh?
Who is that?
I think, no cap, if Steven Silas Jr. gets fired this year, I think he's done. I don't think he's going to get another job. I don't think he's going to continue. I don't think he's going to. The assistant coach for the Pistons on the coach staff, he's been assistant coach. He's been a head coach. He's still young enough. He fits that age range, and he's failed enough to where it's like, all right, why do you want this nigga around? I can see. I'm just giving you a coach that could just say, all right, fuck this. I need something else to do because this shit just ain't working. But regardless, just a coach has done. George Karl can come, and you can have two different type of coaches. Mark Jackson is a guy who I feel like he still has a relationship with those Warriors players, so he's not going to drop names. He's just going to drop situations like you see a bunch of former players do when they start their podcast. They still got respect for guys. I'm not going to say who, but when we were in Indiana, hey, one of them guys seen us in the club. I see him do the car swipe. Like that. That's the type of shit you're going to give Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson is going to name names from what happened in the Warriors locker room, but he is going to tell you the truth about what happened. Or you're going to get the George Karl, who's going to be like a Gilbert or Kwame Brown, which I don't fuck with Melo. You want to know what Melo did when he cut his hair? He put it in his spaghetti. That's what he did. He ate his hair before each get. Like George Karl's going to be on some nut shit. You have coaches that will be on nut shit or because they know they're done. George Karl knows he's not coaching again. He doesn't care if Kenyon Martin loses respect for him because Kenyon Martin already don't respect him. He doesn't care if Ty Lawson loses the respect for him because he starts telling stories. George Karl ain't coaching no more. So I feel like Mark Jackson, when he starts, it's going to be a trickle-down effect, just like we've seen with all these player-led podcasts. It's a trickle-down effect. People are going to see it works. Mark Jackson will start talking to other coaching buddies, former coaching buddies, guys who are having that thought like, hey, man, I'm really sick of this. And he's like, listen, what if I told you for around the same you're getting paid now, you could just sit on the camera and talk the shit you want to talk. Boom. And then you're going to have coaches, just like players, choosing to either do this on the side or just choose this as an alternative path, and they're just going to tell their stories, and it's going to be normal.
I don't know. I think and last thing, we can wrap it from here, but I am just totally tired of the coach scapegoat thing.
I ain't going away, brother. You gonna deal with that.
And I'm tired of the lack of accountability, because it can be, like Viso said, it can be for sure. But to put it all on this guy when there's 4 seasons in a row where you haven't developed like a passing game, it's 4 seasons in a row where, and I think that's why some of the NBA players are changing up how they do pictures and stuff now. It's 4 seasons in a row where you went to Aruba, right after the season. As soon as the season ended, you went right to Aruba, and you never hopped in the gym. And I'm supposed to believe that that's coaching. I'm supposed to believe that that's coaching. So,
comment below your definition of coaching. We kind of scammed you.
This nigga saves success.
I think blaming coaches too is the new way to just quickly flex that basketball for real. Because I could point out the schematics and what's wrong with the schematics. Just drop. If they didn't run drop, it'd be cooking.
Just coach an elementary team, and now you get that little gateway pass of doing something that they haven't done, and it'll help you in conversations, maybe even more than playing.
Because for a minute, we were just blaming the players. Oh, this motherfucker shot 6 or 18, And at some point, you got to reach that next level of wokeness when it comes to the basketball conversations.
But you know what's crazy about that? Even when you try to play the game of reach that level of wokeness, like, all right, let's take a step beyond what the norm is. Niggas will criticize you if you go too far beyond what they're used to. Again, I bring up, I was pressed about my takes on Darvin Ham, how I feel Darvin Ham is a bad coach. Elaborate. Well, now looking at it, I'm starting to blame the whole front office. You're what? You're blaming who? Everybody? Are you serious? I was called an idiot for not just blaming the coach, for blaming the coaching staff and the front office. Because how am I supposed to know what the front office is doing? Then when I ask, how the fuck do you know what the coach is doing? We can see it every night. Nigga, no, you're watching broadcasters tell you basketball. You're watching on the court, but you don't know what the system is. You're not with Darvin Ham. You're not in the locker room. You can't tell me if Darvin Ham implemented the system or if it was fucking DeMarre Carroll. Then when you tell niggas DeMarre Carroll's on our bench, everyone says the same thing. He is? So you don't even know the coaching staff. Y'all just know one coach. So that's just crazy. Basketball fans are insane people. Their mind, it's like a cult thing. Like, all right, so what are we all doing? The norm is blaming coaches? All right, that's what we're doing. I mean, the norm is blaming players? That's what we're doing. Okay. One step up, because now players are starting to actually talk, and now we know, okay, well, other people are telling them to do stuff. So it's the coach. It's the one coach. We're all just blaming one coach. Not group of coaches, not coaching staffs, not owners, not GMs, presidents of basketball operations, not consultants, nobody. We're just going to blame the coach because we get to see him with his hands in his pockets and he talks post-game.
Yeah, this isn't even the 80s no more. There's like 4 coaches on a bench that all have different responsibilities. So I don't.
We never talk about the trainers too, man.
Team.
Yeah. I don't want to drag.
Drew?
Oh wait, what? I don't want to drag it, but when we talk NFL every now and then here, NFL fans get bailed out, not sounding like NBA fans, and I've praised NFL fans time and time out, but they get bailed out that the fact that they have a position literally titled head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Because if it was just head coach and a couple other niggas with a clipboard, they'd be sounding stupid too. So I'm not even going to necessarily blame NBA fans more so than the accessibility and the labels of these jobs just aren't pushed enough and aren't easy enough to dissect as a casual fan. I'm gonna be honest, because that would save a lot of the stupid takes. However, we are always hey man, if you're gonna speak, do your research. I've always been seen as the hypocrite for that for the past couple of years. But if you're gonna speak on those things, do your Googles, bro.